Talking about ADHD, because that's what I do and love. Let's talk about you because you were diagnosed later in life as having
Yeah.
ADHD. And I'd love to hear more about that, why you went for testing, how it's impacted you.
Yeah. Game changer, by the way. I was being treated for anxiety and depression, and sometimes undiagnosed ADHD can show up as anxiety and or depression. You get anxious because you're playing whack-a-mole all day mentally. That's exhausting. Then you get super frustrated and down and feel like you're really struggling to get your work done or with a relationship or whatever. There's where the depression can kind of kick in. Uh, and turns out if you can treat your ADHD, or one of the reasons why that is what your day looks like is because you got untreated ADHD. And that turned out to be the case for me. So I was diagnosed about 6 or 8 months ago, and I'm 53. So it's not just the 7 or 8 year old who's uh, being diagnosed. And, it's actually a great reminder. The One of the stats I should have mentioned earlier is you got the average amount of time between when a young person will start or any person will start exhibiting symptoms of a mental health challenge and the time they receive treatment is 11 years. So I think I impacted that stat significantly because I went 53 years before being treated. But what it has done for me, Tracy, is I think the most impactful thing has been the understanding that has come with it. It was super frustrating and anxiety producing and depressing, not understanding why I couldn't focus on something through completion. I would get a lot of projects going and couldn't get any of them over the finish line until I absolutely had to. And boy, when I was creeping up on that deadline, I was killing it, absolutely crushing it and doing great work. But holy shit, that is not a relaxing way to go about your professional life. So, and that's a lot of that comes with just focus or being unable to focus. So, knowing this now, I understand why I work the way I do. I understand why, and this frustrates me. I understand why I interrupt people more often than I should because I'm aware of it. I've been able to stop it. I understand how I show up in relationships. I understand how I show up in even my speaking. So that awareness and being able to better understand how you show up and why you do things the way you do them has been absolute game changer for me. Because what it has enabled me to do is, well, it's created a self-awareness that has allowed me to hit the brakes when I want to jump in a conversation. It's helped there. But from a work perspective, I think that's where I've seen maybe some of the biggest gains because I know that I don't manage distraction well. Like if I'm in a flow and a lot of my work is creative. And so if I'm in a creative flow and I've got it going, man, if somebody calls or texts or my wife and I both work from home, if she comes by and just jumps in, hey, I got a quick question. Now I'm completely derailed.
Mhm.
So what that has enabled us to do is like now we have strategies for how I manage my work day and how we manage working in the house together. Because, for instance, my wife has been trying to convince me for years, you need to write, you got to get this to-do list going. And I would have a mental list. And this goes back to you and I talking earlier about we need to write everything down. And I was sort of, no, I got it. I'll never forget that. Well, now I'm managing my day differently because I know for me to check all these boxes, I need to have a visual or how to manage the work. The other thing we do, and I'm looking around for it right now, but my wife and I have a red light, green light system in our house now. And so I've got a green card that says bring it. And I got a red card that says not, I love you, but not right now. And if
I
she
love
walks
that.
by and she says or she sees the red card face up, and she knows don't bother him, keep on walking. If she sees the green one, she's like, hey, you mind answering a question? And that might sound like a really regimented, militant way to manage your home. But the benefit of learning how to manage our workday better has been our relationship is better because I'm not getting back to the term emotionally intense. You've met me. I'm emotionally intense. I run hot. And so when I get frustrated, I get really frustrated and I don't act out. I mean, I don't lash out at people, but it's like I hang on to that for a few minutes. And so I'm not getting frustrated with her. She's not getting frustrated with me because she sees this. I have no poker face. Let's be honest. She sees the, she sees the frustration. So we're not having those interactions anymore. So the gains in our relationship have been better. So just the awareness and knowing how I show up, what it takes for me to get work done, how to most effectively get it done, how to manage relationships, all of that has been a game changer. Now, how am I treating it? I started with a very low dose of Adderall. And I think Adderall gets a bad rap because it's well, for a lot of obvious reasons, but it's been a game changer for me. And because one of the things that I don't know that people understand about being ADHD is they hear the hyper part of that and they think this person's kind of Tasmanian devil like. Well, for me, ADHD is exhausting. Was exhausting because when your mind is playing whack-a-mole all day and you can't focus on something and it's like, oh, there's that and there's that, there's that. At the end of the day, you're just fucking exhausted. You know, I was in bed by 9:15 at night and I didn't know why I was so exhausted. I mean, I was like, I'm a typical 50-year-old guy. I'm getting treated for all the things that 50-year-old men get treated for, including sleep apnea. So, I'm upstairs with my CPAP machine on every night. And I feel like I should be totally rested now. It was not the case. When I started Adderall, I was able to better focus on the work that I was doing. I wasn't all over the place. I could focus on that. I could finish what I needed to do, uh, hit reset, reorganize, go to the next thing. There are times where I'm talking to somebody and I can actually focus on what they are saying versus really like literally saying to myself, keep eye contact, keep eye contact, keep eye, because it's hard. Like for an ADHD
Oh, yeah.
person, yeah, okay, I'm so
I
happy to
know.
hear you. Yeah, it's the
What
freaking
did you
worst.
say?
It's the freaking
Yeah.
worst because
Oh, yeah.
the person is wondering like, man, what is going on with him or her? Like they're all over the place. And I like literally I'm looking you in the eye and I'm saying to myself, I can't focus on what you're saying because I'm trying to tell myself, stay focused, stay focused, stay
Yeah.
focused. And so I've had moments since I started getting treated where I'm like, I'm finding myself in conversations, Tracy, where like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I can focus on everything this person is saying right now. I can retain all this. This is nuts. So I literally distract myself by having a momentary celebration because I could actually focus on what somebody is saying. So it's all of that. It's the better managing my work. It's better managing our relationship. Like I'm finding from a work perspective, I'm just more effective now, and I'm at my peak of my powers when it comes to creativity right now. And a lot of that has to do with I'm not exhausted and I can focus on the work. And when you've got a little bit of energy, turns out that you can do good work, more important
Yeah.
work, better work.
Yeah.
And that work sometimes is in your relationships. It shows up in all that.
One clinician quote one time, I love this, is that
Oh God,
ADHD is like the Rodney Dangerfield of mental health.
that's awesome.
I was like,
Gets no respect, no
it
respect at
gets
all.
no
Oh my
respect.
God, I love it so much. That's great.
Yes, yes, I do. We have so much research on it. It's been around forever. These medications, are some the safest medications in any type of psychiatric medications, and it's just mind boggling to me. There's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of people who are scared to talk about it. Yeah, to go get it diagnosed, and there's a stigma around it. I know as a clinician myself, it took me. I didn't get diagnosed until I was 37, I think, and I mean, it was obvious. I mean, my nickname from gosh, in high school from a couple of teachers was Spacey Tracy. I mean, it was just
Man,
there was there are so many signs. I mean, my whole life I'm like a poster child for it. But to actually go in and ask for help, embarrassed or intimidated, or what are they going to think about me? I'm a provider myself. Am I going to get judged? Provider believe in ADHD? What do they think about people like that? There's just a lot of stigma with that, and it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way.
couldn't agree more. You got me thinking about a lot of things. First off, I think men are resistant, especially people my age. I think we grew up in this rub some dirt on it generation. You got it and swat on the butt and let's go. And I think we have resisted that we might not be working at optimal levels. Like there's some things that we could work on. There are some things that we could get support on, but it's like we somehow there's this misunderstanding that you can get through life by yourself. And if you just put your nose to the grindstone, you can get it done. And one of my mentors once told me that there's no such thing as a self-made man. And he was talking about that in terms of like, and this is a wildly successful attorney, but he went through all the list of people that helped him when he was in high school, college, et cetera, in his professional career. And I've tried to apply that same thinking to my journey and how I share it when I'm speaking with groups. I think we are lying to ourselves if we think we can get through life and manage a lot of the stuff that's happening between our ears by ourselves. I think that is a gigantic lie we tell ourselves often. And I think that's a real shame that so many, I'll say men specifically, go through life fighting a battle that we know nothing about, but fighting a battle that without all of their tools at their disposal. It's a real shame. When I'm thinking about ADHD specifically, I remember the second or third day that I knew about it and was being treated for it. Literally sent my person, I won't say her name, but I sent her a text. I was like, I need you to know that this has changed my life, like almost immediately. And got really like the next time I was in with her, I was really emotional because I could not believe the difference, the knowing, the awareness, the strategies I could immediately put in place, and the amount that my day had changed. I literally got super emotional talking to her. I'd never had a medical professional excuse me, impact my life so immediately and so profoundly. And to think that there are other folks out there that are missing out on this opportunity just because they're scared of what other people might say is mind blowing to me. So that's one of the things when you start kind of going back to the beginning of our conversation, when people describe me as authentic, it's because I share all those things. And when I'm in front of a group, people, I'm generally dressed professionally and I kind of look like I've got it together, and I'm real quick to tell people, "Hey, listen, I got the mental health hat trick here. I'm dealing with anxiety, depression, and ADHD. So let's get in the open right now. And oh, by the way, here's what our family's been through." And so I just feel like it's really important for a lot of folks to share their stories and to model the behavior, and that's, I think, the main way we're going to get rid of the stigma. I'm just amazed when, gosh, we talked about the farmer's market earlier. Like when people know you're an ally and they know that maybe you've got your own stuff, it's amazing what people will share. And it's amazing when will literally see people exhale and, and they can relax once I've said, hey, these are the ABCs of me. And a real personal example. I was telling a friend about this, about being diagnosed with ADHD in late July. And he called me 3 weeks later, bordering on getting emotional. And he's like, I just need to call and say thank you. I'm like, man, what's going on? He goes, when you mentioned having ADHD and kind of what that looks like and how that affects you, I saw myself in that story. He went, immediately set an appointment himself, got diagnosed, and at 58, he was diagnosed with ADHD and he was immediately getting treated. He could not believe how much different his day looked now and how much more manageable it was because he now knew, and he knew how to, he could put strategies in place. He could focus, he could plan, he could literally get his work done. And he couldn't believe how it affected everything in his life. And he literally called just to say thank you. So I don't believe that story is an anomaly. I think there are millions of those stories out there. And the only way that we're going to eliminate stigma is if we get a lot more comfortable talking about all the stuff that ails us. So I should be able to tell you about my ADHD and my depression, my anxiety as easily as I would if you saw me on crutches and said, hey, what's going on with your leg? Well, yeah, I had ACL surgery. We should be able to talk about those injuries as easily, one as easily as the other. And so if you can just focus on telling your story, you'd be amazed at how
Yeah.
many people will also say, that sounds a lot like me. And they might come talk to you about it immediately, or you may get a call 3 weeks from now that says, thank you for sharing because that changed my life. Or you may never hear about it because that person went, got treated, and just had whatever you shared in the back of their mind. And now life is moving up and to the right for them again. So that's my take on ADHD, getting treated for it and the changes it's made in my life. The stigma piece is wildly frustrating. And I know you know this and you feel it too, because there's no reason why we are not getting support when we could be, and life could be so much more easily navigated, but we're not getting help because we're stubborn and we don't want to know that something might be special about us. Cause I see it as it's a freaking superpower for me. And I think the other part that comes with, I don't know if this is necessarily ADHD's indicative, but I mean, I feel deeply. I feel my highs are very high, my lows are very low, and I love it. I was a little worried with the medications that it was going to kind of medicate the emotional intensity out of me. And I was speaking at a conference at a convention in late May, and people generally think something's wrong with me when I don't cry from the stage. So I just want to be very clear on that. And so I was wondering, okay, do I, is that sort of happening? Because it'd gone a couple sessions that I had spoken at, and it hadn't happened. And at this one, I got really emotional talking about something that I felt very strongly about, that I had a very personal connection to. And here comes the waterworks. And in that moment, I was like, sweet, I still got it. And so it's I just think it's just a little unnecessary. We fight a lot of battles that are completely unnecessary.
I mean, that's definitely ADHD piece. I mean, the emotional regulation, getting a little more clinical. I mean, that's not in the diagnostic criteria. What we're trained that has to be in there, but it's very well known that that's a part of it. So that fight or flight too during the day, kind of you've been explaining a little bit
Hmm.
that emotional regulation piece and how medicine kind of really stabilize that out, where you're just not always being activated and how draining that is. So it truly helps it. And, it can help the anxiety, it can help depression. Some people need, medicine for that too. It's just ADHD doesn't like to travel alone. It likes to have friends. Yeah,
Oh
that's
wow,
one thing we always say in the medical field. I
this is
mean,
like a clown car.
if you just think you have ADHD, you probably don't.
No, it has friends.
It does not like to travel alone, but it is a superpower if you learn how to deal with it. I mean, the creativity piece, the resilience piece, hyper focus. And that's why when you find something you love to do, you do it really well because you're so hyper focused on it. But yeah, it can really change people's lives. If you have that and getting diagnosed by someone who knows what they're doing to make sure you're, diagnosed correctly. Um, because no matter what, if you're struggling, you're struggling. And so if it's not ADHD, you still need to get help or be able to talk to somebody or whatever that looks like in your life and what you need.
And there's no
But
need to
yeah,
struggle. Well, there's no need to struggle more unnecessarily.
yes,
There are some things that, obviously medicine doesn't fix everything, but it can certainly equip you to be better able to fight the fight.
yes. I told one of my patients the other day, I use this a lot. I'm like, it's like putting on glasses. You can see, but you still need to learn where to go. You still
Yeah,
got to figure
yeah,
that out.
yeah, yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
walk for you. It doesn't go through all the doors for you, but it helps you see and figure it out a lot easier. I feel like we're a lot alike too, as far as telling your story is so important because what people see, right here, right now is not who I am. It's not the journey I've been through. And I find it very important to be truthful with people as well. So they don't think that it's that easy either,
Yeah,
that they don't think that there's no struggle that's involved and that there's an easier way too. And part of telling your story is that hopefully it helps somebody else have an easier time.
yeah.
And it's not about how good we look necessarily. I mean, I think people really want, like you said, the connection. How do we relate to each other?
A few minutes ago, you were talking about how ADHD has friends. They
Hmm.
don't travel alone, or they generally travel together.
Hmm.
So I need to name my ADHD for stories like this because I think it's a hilarious. The traveling together is a really hilarious example. But my ADHD likes to travel with anxiety, and so this is also another reminder, man, we got to put as many spokes around our hub as possible. This is shows you what kind of appetite for risk our church has, but they give me a live mic every now and then. And so I'm basically the host, and I jump up on stage. Hey, welcome everybody. So glad you're here. Give it up for the band. Here's everything we got going on. That's my job. But generally just to, loosen up the room a little bit. And so everybody understands that we're supposed to enjoy this. And then at the end of the service, I'm supposed to jump back up on stage after the band plays their last song and say, hey, thanks for coming out. We'll see you next time. And the band's wrapping up this song, and I'm getting ready to go on stage, and I lean over to our pastor and I'm like, hey man, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm hanging on by a thread. So say a quick prayer. And I jumped up on stage and said, hey, thanks for coming out. We'll see you next time. Have a great week. And came off, and I started crying. I was like, Kurt, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't know what's going on right now, but I cannot figure this out. And got in the car, absolutely broke. Got home, absolutely sobbed on my wife's shoulder and could not figure it out. Had a great golf trip planned the next day, called my friends or texted them. I was like, look, y'all, I don't know what's going on with me, but I need to cancel. I can't. I need to figure something out. And so the next morning, my wife and I are sort of kind of traced back, gosh, well, what is causing this? And turns out I had been without my anxiety med for 3 or 4 days. And the way this particular med is designed is it gets in your system quickly and it gets out of your system quickly. And so I had removed one of those spokes. We got to participate in our own rescue. There are battles a lot of us are fighting that we're doing so unnecessarily. So why would we not want to have as many spokes around our hub as possible? Because we deserve it. We deserve to be happier, healthier, better equipped to regulate, to be in a relationship, to coach, to teach, to practice medicine, to support people who are struggling with ADHD, you name it. We all deserve to be at our best and a new brand of more. And that could be more connectedness, more happiness, more joy, more fulfillment, etc. But we only get to that place if we are taking care of ourselves to the extent to which we can. And
Yeah.
it's just a good reminder that, life's a team sport. None
Yeah.
of us are in this alone, but we got to play our own role.
There's nothing heroic in suffering in silence. And yet,
Mm,
there's so many people who do.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
whether it's just lack of resources or being comfortable, or there's a whole slew of things, but talking about our stories and letting people know it's okay to be a mess,
Yeah.
it's all right.
We're all just broken people doing broken stuff, doing the best we
Oh,
can. So
yeah.
it's
Gosh.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay.
I tell people a lot. I mean, to be able to be where I am right now, it was a lot of luck. It was a lot of mistakes, and I have a lot of people that helped me along the way. My journey wasn't the normal one. It was extended and it was long, but that was my journey. I can embrace it and I can be okay with it. And I can know that, every part of it, there was a reason for it. I learned something from it and it grew. But like you said, just to see somebody where they are right now, you can see their degrees in the background and you can they look the part. They look like everything's great, but you don't know what it took to get there or what it takes to stay there. So it's just really important. I love that. I love that about you. I love the energy that you bring. I love how you love to talk about hard things.
You know, well, you mentioned it took you a while to get to where you are. Same story. Like I was 50 before I figured out what I want to do with the rest of my life, right? And I think the other takeaway from this conversation is we put so much pressure on our young people to know what they're going to do with the rest of their life when they're in middle school. You got to specialize in one sport if you hope to get a college scholarship. Gosh, I remember when our daughter was in high school orientation and counselor was sharing a couple of different tracks that people can take. And this one mom said, what if your son is going biomedical engineering? Your son's a freshman. Is he going biomedical engineering or are you going biomedical engineering? But we put enormous pressure on our young people to have it figured out way too early. Even when they get to college, it's like they're still trying to figure it out. Like your brain's not fully developed until you're mid to late 20s. I had a young man yesterday send me a text, hey, interview, I didn't get the job. Got to figure out what I want to do with my life. And I'm thinking, you're 22 years old. You don't have to figure anything out right now. You can go make as many mistakes as you want. I hope people can see our stories and see that they don't have to have it figured out immediately and that there's great joy and fulfillment when you do. Thanks for being so resilient and patient and determined because without those character traits, we wouldn't be having this call. So I think all of those things are wildly important. So
Yeah.
thank
Well, I've
you.
told you before, this is not me. I am not a podcaster. I am not a speaker. Want to hide under the table when anybody just to think about those things. But here I am. So it's just greater good is just kind of, sharing our stories. And I really appreciate you coming and talking to me today.
Absolutely, Tracy. Thanks for having me, and just appreciate you and what you do, and yeah, just the kindness and the light that you put out into the world. It matters. It matters. There's not enough of it right now, so keep doing what you do. It matters.
Well, I appreciate you too. So you do such important work and coaching, parenting young people. I mean, how much more important does that get? Keep up the good work.